Hi, this is Paulette Downey, and I'm back again with a message from the Lord. This is the second week in my speaking on the Ten Commandments, and so I'm going to be speaking on the second commandment of the Ten Commandments. So let me read it off first. And I didn't get my glasses out, and I need my glasses. So I usually always have them waiting for me to pick up. Okay, here we go. And so we're going to go into Deuteronomy 20, Exodus 20. Exodus 20, and I'm going to give a reading on the second commandment of the Ten Commandments. And so it's chapter 20, and it is verse 4. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind, or an image of anything in the heavens, or on the earth, or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, who will not tolerate your affections for any other gods. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even children in the third and fourth generations of those who reject me. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commandments. So that is the reading on the second commandment of the Ten Commandments. When I did the first commandment last week, those two commandments, I'm going to be very honest with you, I've always thought I always thought that God was like repeating himself when he did the second commandment. And I would ask him and say, God, like, why did you say the first one as, have no other God but me? And then the second one, you talk about worshiping, worship like no idols or whatnot, for I alone am your God. Isn't that the same in one? And for the longest time, he wouldn't answer me. But when he did answer me, when I finally asked him the question about the difference, because I do know that whatever God writes, there is no accident in what it is that he's saying. I know that he didn't just slip up and put the second commandment in there, and the second and the first commandment are to be the same. I know that God doesn't do things like that, so I knew there had to be a difference. So when I finally inquired of God about the difference between the first and the second, he basically told me, look for the meaning in my first name, or in my name, look for in his first name, in his name. And so look at my name, what it means, and then from there, then you will find your answer. And so basically, God is mighty and strong. And from then, it just, like all of the information, Holy Spirit just kind of allowed me to see exactly the difference between the two. So the first one, the first commandment, is basically just for clarity here, because they can be misconstrued. The first and the second commandment can be misconstrued because they are so closely tied together. And there are some overlaps, I do find, but there is a distinct difference. So the first one is on relying on him completely. It's about reliance. It's about dependence. So when you think of somebody with a cane, and they are relying on that cane as they walk. So they have put complete reliance on that cane when they walk. Or if you're sitting on a chair, and you're relying on that chair to keep you in the place where you're at. You're relying on it not to make you fall or anything, anything unusual to happen. You are relying on the chair to keep you exactly where you are at. So it's a complete reliance, and it's a complete, it's almost like a surrender, just dependence, reliance on him. And so that is what the first commandment is about. And when I was talking about the first commandment, not once did I mention love. Not once did I mention love. It was deliberate. It was very, very deliberate that I did not mention love, because the first commandment is not about love. It is about complete surrender. It is about complete dependence. It is about complete reliance. Another example would be when you work for an employer. When you work for an employer, okay, like you have respect for the employer, and you just have it. So, and it has nothing to do with whether or not you like the employer or you dislike the employer. It has nothing to do about that. But it's about going to work, or even, like to put it in a broader sense, when you go to work, when you are working, when you go there, it doesn't matter if you like working for the company or if you dislike working for the company, if you dislike your job, it doesn't matter. But it's a matter of just going in and just showing, like just doing what it is that you have to do for the position that you are in, working for the employer or the person that you are under, regardless of your feelings. It's just, like a complete almost surrender and dependence and reliance on that. So you're relying on, obviously, your employer for work. You're not relying on them for your life, but basically, it is about dependence. It is about reliance. It is about surrender. It really doesn't have anything to do with love. It's about just no other God. Focus. It's like the light, and that's another thing. The sun. So we look to the sun for light. We get vitamin D for it and from it, and we get other things from it, and like plants grow, and there's a whole other thing, but it's a source. It's a source, and God is a source. And so when he's saying, "Have no other God but me," I am your source. I am who you depend on. I am who you rely on. It is me. It is no one else. So that's what. Excuse me. So that's basically what the first commandment is. The second commandment, now we're talking about love. Now we're talking about adoration. Now we're talking about idolizing and worshiping and praising and, just lavishing upon. So this is the second commandment. And this is where the difference between the second commandment and the first commandment. This is the difference between the two. The second one is all about being in, in awe, so to speak, of whatever that it is that you are in awe of. So I'm going to start talking about the second commandment and basically what God is saying when he's saying that we should not worship any kind of idols, be it in, land, sea, whatever. I'm going to talk about a few of them. And like I said, for the most part, there can be some from the first that I actually pull into here, but I'm going to just go into talking about idols, about having no other idols, worshiping nothing else but God. And in the world that we live in, there's so much. It's so easy for us to place things or whatever it is before God without us even realizing. So before, actually, I want to read one more verse before I actually start talking on have no idols or anything like that. And this one is going to be in Isaiah 44:6, and then I'm going to start really, really going into it. And so let's just see. Isaiah. Sorry about this. Okay, so Isaiah 44:6. And this is going to be a lengthy one because this is going to be what I'm going to open up with. The foolishness of idols. Okay, this is what the Lord says, Israel, King and Redeemer of the Lord of heaven's armies. I am the first and the last. There is no other God. Who is like me? Let him step forward and prove to you his power. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to kind of skip that. I'm going to actually go to number 9. I apologize. I'm going to go to number 9. It's too long. How foolish are those who manufacture idols? They prized objects are really worthless. The people who worship idols don't know this, so they are all put to shame. Who but a fool would make his own God an idol that cannot help him one bit? All who worship idols will be disgraced, along with all these craftsmen, mere humans who claim they make a god. They may all stand together, but they will stand in terror and shame. The blacksmith stands at his forge to make a sharp tool, pounding and shaping it with all his might. His work makes him hungry and weak. It makes him thirsty. Then the wood carver measures a block of wood and draws a pattern on it. He works with a chisel and plane and carves it into a human figure. He gives it human beauty and puts it in a little shrine. He cuts down cedars and selects the cypress and the oaks. He plants the pine in the forest to be nourished by rain. Then he uses part of the wood to make fire with it. He warms himself and bakes his bread. Then, yes, it is true, he takes the rest of it and makes himself a god to worship. He makes an idol and bows down in front of it. He burns part of the tree to roast his meat and to keep himself warm. He says, the fire feels good. Then he takes what's left and makes a god, a carved idol. He falls down in front of it, worshiping it and praying to it. Rescue me, he says. You are my God. Such stupidity and ignorance. Their eyes are closed and they cannot see. Their minds are shut and they cannot think. The person who made the idol never stops to reflect why it's just a block of wood. I burned half of it for heat. I used it to bake my bread and roast my meat. How can the rest of it be God? Should I bow down to worship a piece of wood? Poor deluded fool feeds on ashes. He trusts something that cannot help him at all. He cannot bring himself to ask, is this idol that I'm holding in my hand a lie? This is what a lot of people do. They actually worship. I mean, depending on the religion, they actually worship like pieces of wood, pieces of pottery, charms, necklaces. They worship these things. They make them and, like crystals. They worship them and they ask them for help, just like God has said here in the Bible, in Isaiah. And it's quite self-explanatory that these things can't do anything to save you, yet people put their life into them. They worship them. They make them. They carve them. They were made from them. It's like God making us and then asking us to help him. Like, how absurd is that? Like the creator making a creation, God making us, and then he praying to us and saying, can you help me out of this bind? Can you help give me clarity on this? Can you help me to see the light? And he made us. That's as idiotic as us human beings making a piece of an idol, a thing, a man, an animal, ark, whatever it is, and then worshiping it, carrying it on their shoulders, making sure that nothing happens to it, holding the crystals, praying to the crystals, wearing all these charms and saying that they're going to provide them with good luck. saying that this necklace is good luck and this has helped me in so many ways, saying that a necklace that a man created, that a human being created, is providing them good luck, which good luck runs out. Luck runs out. But I mean, I digress, and me saying that, but taking an object, a physical object that was created by a human being, or something that was carved from nature, and then worshiping it and expecting it to rescue you in times of trouble. And this is something, I mean, it went on in BC a lot. It's happening a lot today. There are a lot of people out there, depending on the type of religion that they are, whatever the religion is, certain religions do that. And it's just incredible to think that people still don't think that this is something that was man-made. Like, this was a man-made thing. How is this going to help me in any way? I don't care how long this man-made thing has been going on. I don't care if it's been 10,000 BC when the first carving of that image has been created, and it's, carried its life into present day. It's an idol. It's a thing. Like I could step on it and crush it. It would be done. Like, it has no use. And like he said, then the rest of the wood was used for fuel to cook for food. And it's just, but it's this, these are things that a lot of people, depending on the religion that they're under, they do. And it makes you have to question, are you really thinking when you are worshiping an object? This does go into the question of, where is this object coming from? Is there witchcraft involved in this object? Is there some kind of satanic worship in this? Like there is that, because there is that, where the objects have, I don't know, some kind of spell. I don't really know of that world, but I do know that things like that exist, and that, these objects can have certain spells placed on them that'll give them certain powers. But even with the certain powers that are given to them from the dark world, and I'm going to talk about that, from the dark world, still in the end, they don't have any power to really save. They don't have any power to really do anything that's beneficial for a person's life in the long term. Worshiping idols, objects, and this is one form of an idol. There are many idols. I'm going to get into this. This is just one form of an idol that can be worshipped, and that many people do worship. Is something that is really like it's like an abomination to do, and you're really just reaping curses on your life. Like, you're just really placing curses on your life and of those who follow you. So this is wrong. It clearly is stupidity at its lowest form. I mean, it is. I'm not going to pretend and say that it isn't, because it's an object, and I don't care what kind of powers, whatever powers these objects have. They're powers from the dark world. They're not powers that have been put in there by God. And so to worship these, you're not worshiping God, because you're placing all of your trust and your adoration and love for these things. And that's basically, so you're worshiping it, you're praising it, you're singing to it, you're loving it. You have made this object, or these objects, central in your life. These are your gods. So that is one way of actually, that's one type of thing that you can worship. That's the most obvious. That's probably the most obvious thing that comes to mind. That's the first thing that people think of when they think of worshiping idols. And, you know, that's because that's something that's really happened, really has gone on since the beginning of time. And so that's one thing when we're talking about worshiping idols. So another thing I want to get into is I want to get into worshiping creation. That's a big one. That's a big one. So worshiping creation. Yeah, let's start with astrology. Astrology, a lot of people place that as their gods. The astrology, yes, we all know about our signs, what sign we are, and everything like this. That all ties into astrology. This is a sin. And a lot of people do place like their everyday, like they read their horoscope every single day, and you know they say, oh, I'm going to have a good day today, or oh, I'm going to have a bad day today, and all their dependence is on that horoscope. So they are relying 100% on the horoscope, and they have to see what the horoscope is going to, you know, reveal to them about their day. And then they're into horoscopes for the year. Many of these people, then they are going to psychics and relying on psychics to get information about, you know, their life and about the future and how everything is going to work out there. And again, this is another form of placing something, or it could be even someone, removing God from the equation and you know, replacing God with astrology and psychic readings. This all ties into this whole astrology thing. And so this is, of course, another abomination. And definitely, you know, with this, you have removed God. And when you do that, then God will turn his face from you because you have taken him off the throne. You know, you have removed him. You're worshiping people, or you know, whatever astrology, and you're not worshiping him. And so there's no way that he can help you in any way because you put your dependence. And I mean, this is when I say it kind of all ties into to the first commandment, but it is different because it is about worship. It is about praising. It is about, you know, the whole adoration and just, you know, in awe of it. So, but with astrology, that is another idol. It is another form of idol, and you have like I said, astrology and psychics, and definitely wrong, and definitely you're bringing down curses on not only you, but you're bringing it on your family for generations, for at least 4 generations, up to 4 generations. So of course, but if you focus on God, then and if your reliance and dependence is on God, then 1,000 for 1,000, you know, 1,000 years blessings for you and your family. So that is another one. So also worshiping angels, worshiping deities. So I'll go into the angels. Yeah, so, you know, like placing them as God. I mean, they assist God. They, you know, they assist God. Like they basically, angels fight for man. Like they fight for, you know, the causes of man. They help man, help us out here on earth. But they are sent by God. They report to God. God sends the angels to us to help us and to assist us in our daily living. So angels, but they are not to be worshipped. So whatever angels are doing in our lives, it's as a result of God sending them. So I mean, it's just like, I'm just trying to think here. It's just trying to think give an example. So with so it's a result of God. And so I mean, you drive a car, and the car moves as a result of you driving the car, but it's not the car. Like, so the car takes you here and there, but you're driving the car. So you're the one who's steering the wheel. You're the one who's making all the turns. So it is us as the individual who actually is taking us from point A to point B, but we are using the car as a vehicle to get us to where we need to get to. But it is actually us who is taking us from point A to point B. So it is actually God who's sending those angels to help us in various ways. If God didn't send those angels, if God didn't assign those angels to us, they wouldn't help us. Like they can only do what God commands them to do. So we are not to worship angels. And this is another thing. A lot of people do worship angels. Like they're all into it. Like I've heard of people that's all they talk about is angels. Oh, the angels, they help me out in so many ways. And, and they're all into the study of angels. Now, there's nothing wrong with learning about angels. There's nothing wrong on reading up on info about angels. Absolutely nothing wrong with that and knowing that. And you know what? There isn't even anything wrong with really, saying like, thank you, to the angels. But still, you don't worship them. And still the thanks goes to God. Like you still have to thank God, it's coming from him. God is the source, the angels are the resource. So once again, a lot of people, they worship angels, and the angels without God will not help you out in any way. So it is all God. When any angel has assisted us in any way, we are to worship God for whatever good he is doing for us in our lives. Always, always God. And so another one, satanic worship. A lot of people are into that as well. And then we're going into the satanic worship, witchcraft, and all that kind of stuff. And this, of course, is an abomination. And a lot of people do worship Satan. A lot of Satan worshipers out there. They're into witchcraft. And so, of course, Satan has power. Let's not be deceived by the amount of power that Satan has. He has a lot of power. And those who follow him, depending on their rankings, and I'm talking people there, I'm not talking the angels, I'm not talking the fallen angels who work with him, but I'm talking about people who are followers of Satan, like he gives them power. He gives them power. And not to say this is wrong. First of all, first and foremost, it's wrong. It's an abomination. But you have people out there worshiping Satan, and Satan is a creation just like the rest of us. Like he's a creation. He's a deity, which we are not, but he is a creation just like the rest of us. And I mean, this is something he wants. He wants our worship. He wanted Jesus' worship. He wanted Jesus Christ to worship him. And when Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days on a fast, one way Satan tried to tempt him was to worship him. And, like Satan, Jesus pulled out the scripture that, oh my goodness, the light went off again. Sorry. Okay, I'll be right back. Really. Oh, okay, thank you. Came back on, just like that. So worship. worshiping Satan. This is another form of worship, and a lot of people are into this, the occult. A lot of people, like I said, and when I say a lot, I mean I do, but there are a lot. There are numbers. There are numbers out there all across the world. There are numbers of people who are into this and who are into witchcraft and whatever other things that they do under that whole occult structure. There are a whole lot of other things, and this is clearly wrong, and this just goes against everything that is God. There's no blessings. There's no long-term blessings in something like this. And you know what? You have to remember with Satan. One thing about Satan, we know many things about him, but one thing about Satan is when he brings you into his world, is when he wants you to come into his world, he does not care about you. Like, he does not care about the individual. He cares about himself. So Satan cares about no one but himself, and he brings you into his world to destroy you. So Satan will give you, things that he can give you, things that he has the ability to give you, because he doesn't have the ability to give you everything, because God does have the final say in this world. He has the final say. So he can't give you things that is, off limits, because it belongs to God. So he can't give you what is, under God. But Satan can give you a lot of things. He can give you money, and he does do that. He gives you money, and he gives you all the things that will make you happy and content to bid his will. And after you have bid his will and you have done what Satan wanted you to do, like after Satan has gotten the use out of you, Satan will disregard you the way you and I disregard a bag full with chips after we've eaten all of the chips. Crumple it up and toss it in the garbage. We have no more use for that bag that was full with chips after all the chips were gone. So we just toss it and we throw it in the garbage. And that's how Satan will dump you. That's exactly what Satan will do to you after he has no more use for you. Satan loves no one. He cares for no one but himself. And if he sees that he can use you and that you're a willing participant in his, whatever it is that he wants to do, he will bring you in, destroy your life. And then after he's destroyed your life and he's gotten his use out of you, he has no use for you. And he will just throw you under the tracks. Like, he has nothing, he doesn't care for you. He doesn't care what will happen to you. No protection, nothing. You're done. So people think, and it's sad, but some people, they want certain things, but they don't want to put in the work. They don't want to put in the time and the effort, and they want what they want, and they want it now. And the only way they can get what they want now is by giving themselves to Satan and living a life for him and destroying their life in the process. So a few years, maybe quite a few years, you'll get good use out of it. But then one day, done. So that is another form of, worshiping something else, because it's not just worshiping idols. When God is talking about worshiping idols or making an idol of something, he's not just talking about physical objects. Like there's, and I'm going to go into more, but he's talking about a whole list of things. And Satan worshiping deities is another one, as well as worshiping stars, the moon, the sun. This is, yeah, another way of worship. Um, I don't even have words for, these types of worships, but people do worship them, and they say that they are getting benefits, but long term, no, they're not. And so that's another form of worshiping. Like, that's another thing that people worship. So they worship the sun, they worship the moon, they worship the stars, all the things in the galaxy. Yeah, so that's worship. Yeah. So that is creation, and also nature. Nature is another thing that people worship. They worship trees. They're into, like Greenpeace. And I'm not saying that everyone in Greenpeace is that, but I'm saying that people who are into nature and naturalist, they can take it to that extreme of, worshiping, trees and plants and animals and, all of that, which is clearly not of God. This is not something that we are supposed to be doing. So that's another form, that's another thing that people worship. And people worship people. That should be no surprise. People worship people. They worship people in the entertainment field. They worship people with large platforms. They worship people at their workplace. They worship people. They worship friends, they worship neighbors, people. This is another form of worship, and they remove, they forget about God, and they worship and they idolize and they look up to these people who can do no more for them than the galaxy, the stars, and the moon at the end of the day, because these people are people. We're all people. They have no special powers any more than an ant has or a lion has. Like, they have no special powers, and people idolize these people, and they look up to these people, and they want to be like these people, and they dress like these people. And they even try to emulate these people, trying to talk like them and move like them. And, they want to be them. And this, like, God made us all individually. Like, we're supposed to be us. And you have people worshiping people who are just people. These people, even though they're in the public eye or they make a lot of money, they are people, and you have people idolizing them, and reading up on information, every bit of information that comes out about them, just following them, following everything that's going on and every aspect of their life, and giving up their own lives. They're not focused on God. They're barely even focused on themselves. You have them just imitating them and dressing like these people that they idolize, and just worshiping them, and to the point where, like, depending on the proximity of these people who they are worshiping, they will even do things to please these people. Becoming people pleasers and doing things to please these people, like, just to be in their presence, just to be liked by them, be loved by them. It's just it's sad, but this is another form of worship. A lot of people worship people, and to the point where they change themselves. And you know what? Just like what I mentioned about Satan, with certain people, I'm not talking about people who you're idolizing and, like public figures, but if you're in close proximity with some people and you're idolizing them and you're putting them on a pedestal and you're making them out to be this God, and, you're just so in awe of them, you have people idolizing people to the point that they they will do anything just to please these people. And there are some people who, they will use that. Like there are some people who will say the nicest things, will do anything. They're sweet, they're smooth, they're so wonderful. They will, and they're like that with everyone. There are many people, not the people, clearly if you can figure them out, but for many, what they'll do is they're smooth and they're sweet. And, they'll listen to all your problems. They'll listen to, like they're there for you. They will help you. They're just everything lovely, everything sweet. There are nice people in the world. There are sweet people in the world. There are nice people. There are sweet people, genuine, who aren't looking for anything. But there are some people, especially when they see that they can manipulate you, there are people who will take advantage of that and use you, just like Satan, to get what